saying when Brother Roger was here on the last night that he was here, very briefly, he talked to you from 1 Corinthians chapter 2, and the verse for number 9. In 1 Corinthians chapter 2, in the verses number 9, the Bible says that ear have not heard, eye have not seen, ear have not heard, nor neither have entered into the heart of man those things that God has prepared for him, for them that love him. I want to talk to you tonight from this subject, you ain't seen nothing yet. And I want to label this as part 2, because Brother Rogers had briefly talked to us on part 1. There are many things. Let me begin this afternoon by saying to you, when Paul wrote this letter to the church in Corinth, and they were having some issues about their baptism and who they were a church of. Amen? Because when you go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 1, where Paul talks about the church at Corinth. So they were having problems there. Let me begin this evening by saying to you, many of us have traveled and have heard of many beautiful and lovely things. Some of us might have traveled to the most luxurious countries. We might have traveled to foreign countries and watched the sunset behind the most beautiful background. But you ain't seen nothing yet. You might have heard your friend or loved one talk about something they saw or heard that would take your breath away. And you say, oh, I wish I could see the same thing that they saw. But you ain't saw nothing yet. You might have climbed the highest mountain and looked down in the valley below. You might have even took pictures of those and brought them back and put them in a scrapbook so that they might be looked at later on as you begin to look through your scrapbook. Amen. But out of all the pictures that you've taken, you ain't seen nothing yet. You might have lived in the most beautiful homes or the most beautiful places and traveled the most beautiful location, to the most beautiful location. But whatever it is that you saw, you ain't saw nothing yet. Man. You might have sit on a seashore somewhere. And you might have watched the shore of the waves come in to the seashore that the wind had brought in. And you might have watched the whale or whatever it was that jumped out in the sea. But I want to stop and tell you tonight that you ain't seen nothing yet. You might have sat in your home and watched television as they talked about vacation sites that you might have said to yourself, oh, I wish that I could go to that place. But of all the pictures that you look at, out of all the places that you have gone in your life, out of all the places you expect to go to, you ain't seen nothing yet. All right. In 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verses number 9, Paul said, but as it is written, eyes have not seen nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for them that love him. Mm-hmm. Isaiah said in chapter 64 and verses number 4, for since the beginning of the world, men have not heard, nor perceived by the ear, neither have I seen, O God, beside thee, what he has prepared for them that waits on him. Amen. What I'm trying to say to you tonight, 9th Street, is that out of all the places that you've heard about, out of all the things that you have seen in your lifetime, out of all the places that you have seen, you ain't seen nothing yet. Get for me Revelation chapter 21, verses number 1. I want to take you to a place tonight that John talked about over there in Revelation. And say to you tonight that as we travel day to day on our vacations, it's nothing to compare to what John said in John chapter 21. In Revelation chapter 21, John said,
And I saw a new heaven
and I saw a new heaven
and a new earth.
and a new earth.
For the first heaven
For the first heaven
and the first earth
and the first heaven
were passed away,
were passed away,
and there was no more sea.
and there were no more sea. Well, what are you talking about here, John? Well, what he's talking about is the new heaven that you ain't seen yet. See, you ain't saw nothing yet. Out of all the places, the beautiful places you've gone in your life, there's nothing compared to Revelation chapter 21. In Revelation chapter 2, it said, in verse number 2, it said, and John saw the holy city, a new Jerusalem,
Coming down from God,
coming down from God
out of heaven,
out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Well, I know, men, how your wife looked to you when she first walked down that aisle. And she was adorned with all her beautiful adorned dress on. And she might have even had silver and gold on. And you know how beautiful she looked as she walked down through there. And just before you said, I do. But you ain't saw nothing yet. For the Bible here talks about that she was adorned, the new heaven and the new earth, the new Jerusalem, was adorned as a bride, was adorned before her husband. Out of all the places that you will go, and out of all the places that you will see, you ain't saw nothing yet.
man.
What is he talking about? He's talking about the same bride, or the same wife, that he talks about over there in Ephesians chapter 5 and the verses number 27. When he talks about, when Paul here talks about that he might present himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle, or any such thing, but it should be holy and without blemish. Then Paul said in Ephesians chapter 5 verse 32, he said, this is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. In Revelation chapter 21 and verses number 3, John goes on to say, he said, and I heard a great voice, read, out of heaven, saying, Behold, the tabernacle of who? Of God
Is with men,
is with me.
and he will dwell with them.
And he will dwell with them,
They shall be his people,
and they shall be his people,
and God himself shall be with them.
and God himself shall be with them, and be their God.
Be their God.
I don't have to worry. There's going to come a time when I won't have to worry about praying. Because the Bible said that his tabernacle shall be down here among me. His tabernacle, his house shall be here. Because John said that he saw a new Jerusalem and a new earth. For the old Jerusalem and the new earth had passed away. And there was no more sea. There was no more water that you had to worry about. And can you imagine how the world would look with no more sea? Can you imagine how imagine in your mind tonight, that great Jerusalem coming down from heaven as a bride adorned for her husband. Imagine in your mind tonight how that will look. And imagine to this, you have not saw nothing yet. And God shall wipe away all tears
From their eyes,
from their eyes.
there shall be no more
be no more death,
neither sorrow,
neither sorrow nor crying,
neither shall there be any more pain,
neither shall there be any more pain,
for the former things are passed away.
for the former things are passed away. What are you saying? I know we have did a lot of crying down here in this old earth. I know we have watched our loved ones be hushed up in death. But we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Amen.
I know there were a lot of sorrow that you had to go through. But it's all over now in that New Jerusalem. I saw the pain in your heart as you tried to teach the gospel to those that would not even listen. But my reward is not with man. My reward is in that New Jerusalem that John talks about.
Amen.
Just hold on for a little while longer. Keep fighting for a little while longer. Keep praying Ninth Street for a little while longer. After a while, there's going to be easy that's going to come on in the morning.
Amen.
And you won't have to worry about crying anymore.
Amen.
You won't have to worry about this in this night that you had to spend worrying about the loved one. Joy comes in the morning. Just hold on just a little while, Ninth Street. Prayer changes things.
Amen.
All the praying that you did for your loved one or for yourself, it's going to all be over after a while. You won't have to cry anymore because you'll be in that New Jerusalem. And that New Jerusalem is where God will wipe away all the tears from your eyes.
Oh, yeah.
God will be your comforter. And I don't know about you, Ninth Street, but that's what I'm working toward.
Amen.
That New Jerusalem and that new heaven,
Oh, yeah.
where all pain will be gone.
Amen.
For all the sorrow that I had to go through will be gone. God, I'll be among God, and I'll be up there with him. I don't have to worry, because God is going to come down here and be with us here.
Amen.
For the new tabernacle shall be here. And we won't have to worry about all those sleepless nights that we used to have.
Amen.
All the time that you lay awake at night and you toss and turn all night long while the enemy lurk just outside of your door. You won't have to worry about that anymore. And skip all the way down at number 10. And he carried me away in the spirit. This is John talking.
To a great and high mountain,
In a great and high mountain.
and showed me that great city,
And showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven,
from God,
having the glory of God. And her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal.
and had a wall great and high.
Crystal. All of us know what crystal look like. All of us have went to jewelry stores, and we had looked at crystal and saw how it looked, how clear it is.
Amen.
But you can also buy crystal that's in different colors. But the Bible said that his face, that New Jerusalem was as crystal, clear as glass. And he carried me away, John said, and he carried me away to a great mountain. And he showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven. Having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like jasper stone, clear as crystal. The glory that John said, the glory that I saw in that holy city had the glory of God. And the only way that I can explain it is like, it looked like jasper, clear as crystal. And verse number 12 says, and I had a great wall, great and high, and had 12 gates. And at the gate 12 angels. And at the name therein, which are the name of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. But until you see that, you ain't saw nothing yet. John said, let me just finish describing what I saw in that vision. He said on the east side were 3 gates. On the north were 3 gates. On the west were 3 gates. And on the east were 3 gates. Read.
And on the south were 3 gates.
Uh-huh.
And the wall of the city had 12 foundations.
12 foundations.
And in them the names of 12 apostles
The 12 apostles
of the Lamb.
of the Lamb. The 12 apostles of the Lamb were the 12 that God chose when he began to walk among men. The Lamb himself is Jesus the Christ.
Amen.
He is the Lamb. In verse 13 said, in verse 14 said, and the walls of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the name of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Those apostles were the 12 that Jesus, the Lamb, chose. Eyes have not seen, now ears heard, now enter into the heart of man those things that God has prepared for them that love him.
Amen.
You ain't seen nothing yet. In verse 18, John said, the building of the wall was as jasper, and the city was pure gold, like until clear gas. I know you've been to a lot of places in your lifetime, and you traveled to many foreign countries, but you have never went to a country where the whole city was glass, was gold. You never went to a city where the gates were gold. You never went to a city where the whole street was lined with gold. I know you traveled to many great places, and it might be that you have seen a lot of great things in your life. I stopped by tonight to tell you, 9th Street, that you ain't seen nothing yet. Until you see the great city of Jerusalem coming down from heaven. Paul said that, John said that it was a dawn. As a bride was adorned before her husband. She was all dressed out. You ain't seen nothing yet. Until you see that great city. Paul said, John said that it had 12 gates. John said that over each one of the gates was of the 12 tribes, the 12 that walked with Jesus. They were the 12 that Jesus chose when he began to walk the earth. And he walked the earth for 33 and long years.
Oh, yeah.
The Lamb being God himself, being the Christ himself. And John said the foundation of the wall was garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth an emerald, and the fifth, he said, was sardonyx. The sixth wall, he said, was sardius. The seventh was crystalline. The eighth was beryl. The ninth was topaz. The 10th are sapphires. The 11th, jacinth. The 12th was asphodel. But you ain't saw nothing yet. And in the 12 gates were 12 pearls. And every several pearl was on one pearl. Every several gate was on one pearl. And the streets of the city was pure gold. As it was transparent as glass. I stopped by tonight to tell you 9th Street that you ain't saw nothing yet. Until you see that city out of all the places that you go. Can I just talk to you for a little while? Out of all the places that you travel to, all the ships that you've been on, all the automobiles that you've been in, and all the buses that you looked out the window, you ain't saw nothing yet. You're out of all the seashore that you traveled to, and you looked at the seashore, and as you saw the seashore come in, you saw the waves as it came in. And you watched all the things that they advertise on TV, and they talk about how it is to go there and visit there. But I stopped by tonight to tell you that you ain't saw nothing yet. I know I have not seen nothing yet until I've seen that great Jerusalem coming down from heaven. Come on and go with me, Ninth Street. I'm on my way. You can go to that city, but you have to do some things. You have to obey the gospel of Christ. Well, how do you do it, Brother Ty? Well, the first thing that you do, you must hear that gospel. Amen. I'm going to tell you tonight that the gospel is simply the good news. How he died, and how he was buried, and how he rose again. But on the third day, the Bible tells me that he got up with all power in his hand. And you're going to have to do the same thing.